And welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast. It's episode 67, everybody.
Brother!
It's the wrestling video games episode. Hooray!
Brother!
Yay. Also known as a bonus wrestling cast.
A bonus wrestling cast. Yeah, it works two ways. It won't be confusing at all in the nomenclature of the podcast that I do.
Yes. We can all follow this.
Of course, yes.
We
can. Is there an unwritten rule that we all must speak in the gimmick of a famous wrestler?
Ooh, I want to do one. I want to be Eugene.
I don't know if that's appropriate in 2020.
Yeah, it's probably fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm sure nobody will be offended.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, fine. I'll be... wait, hold up. I'm trying to think of something worse.
Goldust?
I'll be Goldust.
Now, I will demand you have to get breast implants before this podcast gets started.
I got a better idea. I'm gonna be my favorite wrestler, Triple H. I'm doing that. You asked for this.
As host, I will not let you bury any other hosts.
I literally bury Colin's love for King Hearts literally every week.
All right. Well, I guess you fit the. I guess you fit the bill then,
brother.
Up on the card.
Nice.
I'll be Undertaker when he didn't talk at all.
Oh well, you're gonna nail that role. You're not gonna be the American Badass one at all, where he talks shit the whole time, and of course buries the roster.
And Limp Bizkit intro, which means best Undertaker.
Chocolate starfish, rise up, rise up.
You know how long it took me to realize a chocolate starfish? He's talking about a butthole.
Didn't realize that till way later.
Yeah, I was like, oh. Gross.
That song means two things.
What was the other one?
There was Rollin'.
Yeah.
Rollin'.
You're rolling. Oh, blunts. Oh.
But now he rides on to Metallica these days. Anyways, yes, wrestling episode. We got what games we'll be playing here in a second. Our topic for the episode is something I did just a little bit of research for. Played a lot of the games that it does pertain to. It's the Aki Wrestling Engine. It's a famous wrestling game engine that, well, in the late 90s, you guessed it, a group of wrestling games got critically acclaimed and still... Well, wrestling fans want it more today, probably more than ever. It's otherwise known as the AKI engine.
Hell yeah.
After that, we got our second iteration of the Retro Magazine Game Review. And then our main topic, which is a series of wrestling games that we all picked. And I can't wait to talk about them all.
I'm so disappointed you did not call it the main event. You piece of shit.
The main event on the card. The draw, some might say.
Gee, it was there for you.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to, kick you out, and you're going to have to go to a lesser wrestling organization. Sorry.
Yeah, you got to go to the minor leagues like that AEW bullshit.
It's okay, I'll take my TNT deal.
Yeah.
I won't have to worry about losing millions of viewers hand over fist every year year over year. There we go.
Don't worry, you're still going to make a giant profit. It's going to be all great.
And I'll get those profit margins up when I lay you guys off.
Would you like some oil money? Would it make you feel better?
Right now? No, actually.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Here's some money.
Dude, gas was $1.75 the other day.
Ooh, I'm at $1.89.
Insane.
Love it. It's
how much
great.
is it per liter for you, Colin?
Yeah, it's seems to fluctuate between 76 cents and 82 cents.
Whoa. Holy shit.
Someone on Houston subreddit got 40 cents with the Kroger bonuses added to it. 40 cents a gallon. That's ridiculous.
Oh, jeez.
A sad oil economy makes for a bad economy and all. I did finally get my stim check, though, so that was nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
What unnecessary wrestling merch did you buy?
I actually went through and bought one of the games we played for the podcast.
Oh, see? So that was it then.
All right. Joey, what game have you been playing?
I've been playing Warzone.
Nice.
So.
COD. You've been playing that fish game?
Yeah, been having a lot of fun with it. So, won a couple games. Although the last game I played, it froze when we were at the final 12 people, and my team was 4 of them. So between the other 8, there was 3 teams, and we were about to take out a team, and then the game died.
Oof, bummer.
So, yeah, they had a rough
It's just
patch on
too
Friday.
bad.
Big oof, Chief.
So that's what I've been playing. I've been playing it a lot.
Cool.
Very
Kevin,
enjoyable.
How about you?
Yeah. I also just got into Warzone. I used to be the big old Fortnite boy. But I'm just getting mad at people just building every time I shoot anything ever. So I was like, maybe I go back to Warzone and see what's up. I'm having fun with it, but beyond that, because, we talked about that. What did I just beat? Batman Arkham City. Because I was going to do night, and then I forgot what happened in City. Hot take. I don't think City's as good as Asylum, but Asylum's boss fights are so shitty that it kind of balances out.
Yeah, kinda.
Makes sense.
So I don't think that game's an open world. I don't think it needs to be. It does the same thing Infamous does, where being on the ground is kind of you might as well be dead.
Yes, I know the feeling.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's a good game, but I feel like people were. How do I put this? I just feel like not every game needs to be an ambitious open world. What happened to good linear stories? Let's just tell a story. Not everything needs to be open world. You can go anywhere. It just doesn't fit things. I don't know.
Yeah, that was sort of a trend for a long time. Just every single AAA developer needed to make it an open world so that people could play it as long as possible.
Yeah, everything's got to be a sandbox. Everything's got to, you got to get towers, unlock this area.
Well,
yeah.
The
Grand Theft Auto way of life.
If you're going to make an indie game these days, it needs pixel art, it needs to be a Metroidvania, it needs to be a roguelike, it needs to have crafting, it needs to be an open world, and now maybe throw in a little battle royale. I think I just made the perfect indie game. What else have I been playing?
I think you just described Call of Duty.
There's pixel art in Call of Duty? Excuse me? Yeah, okay.
Actually, I mean, if you get your logos, there's kind of pixel arts.
Boom.
And your tags and
there you
everything,
go.
so there you go. And then they have sprays too, which I think some of them are pixel art.
Yeah, there you go.
What else did I do? I beat
No
Rogue
wonder
Legacy.
it's so popular. It's your ideal game, Kevin.
Pretty much. I love Call of Duty is what I'm trying to say. Rogue Legacy, beat that. Nice. That was fun. That game's still great. And then I'm also playing a little bit of Saber Wolf on the Game Boy Advance.
Saber Wolf?
It was a rare game that I think it came out on the Commodore first, but now they remade it, or not now. They remade it for the GBA, but essentially it's here's these short little puzzle platformer levels. You get little creatures to help you through, and you plan out how you want to get through the level, get the treasure, and then you run back to the start of the level as fast as you can without the wolf catching you.
Ooh, that actually sounds pretty cool.
It's really fun, but it's got that weird asterisks and obelisks design, European style. So it's got a very specific art style to it. I like it. It's fun.
Wasn't Saber Wolf a character in Killer Instinct?
Yes, and I can only imagine he's a reference, but the wolf in this game is a little doofier.
Yeah.
So, and also doesn't
wolf?
It also doesn't rip you to shreds, but whatever. Here's that. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing.
How about you, Colin?
Oh, quite a bit. I've been focusing a lot of my effort on Lunar Silver Star Story. Played about 14 hours so far. At the 8-hour mark is when the villains du jour finally make their debut. Of course, I spent a lot of time talking to the NPCs looking for funny dialogue, so it would probably be more like 6 or 7 for anybody else. I mean, I'm still enjoying it. Like I said before, it's no Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy IX, but still up there in terms of quality. Plot's picking up steam, so I'm interested to see where it goes. And I also started up Children of Morta, which is a fairly recent indie game. Reminds me a little bit of Dead Cells in that it's a pixel art roguelike exploration game with a dodge roll mechanic, but it differs in that it's a top-down action RPG with more or less fixed weaponry and magic per character. But for each level, you have the choice to play as different characters, like For instance, you'll be the father who uses a sword and shield, or you'll be the eldest daughter who uses a bow and arrow. And there's even a couch co-op option, so 2 people can play at once as different characters. And I still can't get past the first level. It's hard as shit. It's like, I can get past, like, the first half, but then close to the end of the second half, I always get overwhelmed by the sheer number of enemies. But thankfully, you get to keep whatever treasure and gold you picked up along the way, which you can use to buy upgrades that affect all of the characters at once. You don't just have to do it individually. The only individual things you have to do with each character is like getting experience and gaining, or just filling out the skill trees for each of them. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'll definitely be continuing with that. And I played and completed Half-Life 2 Episode 1.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty short, but I didn't expect a full-length game. It's pretty much just more of Half-Life 2, and that's not a bad thing. Just need to get started on Episode 2 now.
And then you need to get a VR so you can play Alex and get really mad at orb puzzles.
Yeah, maybe once I win the lottery.
Well, you just got to get multiple stim checks.
And I know I'm late. I know.
Just be like, what is it? 70% of the United States that actually is making more money now if they live since they're living off unemployment.
I heard about that.
I don't think it's 70%, but it's some really like horrid number that represent the country.
Yeah, really.
Hey, if that monthly stim check thing comes in, I'll be making more than I did just sitting at home.
Once I get my DZ driving license, then I'll be making more money. Now, I know I'm late to the party on this one, but after seeing that the Final Fantasy VII Remake was sold out of physical copies everywhere, I broke down and bought the digital version out of necessity.
Speaking of which, I discovered that they actually locked out 2 summons behind the deluxe edition paywall.
Oh my God.
I'm quite upset with that.
Oh, good. They modernized Final Fantasy VII. I'm glad to hear.
Yeah.
It's the way to go. I've been waiting for Final Fantasy to be modernized.
You know, finally.
Well, since all of my favorite review channels are covering it, and there's spoiler warnings everywhere, I mean, I haven't had a chance to play it yet.
The game's 20 years old. What's spoiled?
The new elements
they
put into
changed the story. They made a lot of changes to it.
Do Cloud and Barrett kiss?
They didn't change as more of they added.
They changed some things.
In any case, I'd like to play it fresh.
Yeah.
And I found out something rather saddening about Doom Eternal. Apparently,
what is that? It's too hard?
Got him.
Apparently, when it was being made, more than half of Mick Gordon's soundtrack was not mixed by him. I mean, it was composed, but not mixed. And thus, I remember when I was playing it, I didn't feel like a lot of the soundtrack was as memorable as the first game, and now I know why.
Well, probably contributed to him quitting.
Yeah.
That's not too far from the truth, actually, because he didn't have any part in the decision of having someone else mix the tracks. He actually said he doesn't think he'll be working with id or Bethesda going forward. So if id Software decides to make another Doom game, Mick Gordon might not be doing the soundtrack for it, in which case I will be very hesitant to buy it day one. Because that soundtrack in 2016 was half the reason I enjoyed it so much. But I did find out...
It does have a kick-ass soundtrack. It's very true.
Well, there's a rumor going around that id might actually be remedying that situation. They'll try to get Mick Gordon back to mix the rest of what he couldn't mix, and then they'll be able to release that with all the deluxe editions they put out, and possibly patch the mainline game. But who knows? Figure it out. I actually did find out from all of those videos I watched about it that Mick Gordon did the soundtrack for Prey. So, since I have that in my collection, it's one of the next in line for me to play. I know it's something of a System Shock wannabe, but hey, Mick Gordon soundtrack. I'd play it. I'd go so far as to get the Killer Instinct or 2013 game just to hear one, but I don't have an Xbox or Xbox One, so I can't.
I don't remember the music in Prey being all that memorable. The game is certainly weird, that's for sure.
I mean, I have it in my collection, so I'm curious to see.
That you're talking about the new one, not the original, right?
Original what?
Prey.
Well, I'm talking about the one on PS4. I didn't know there was like an original Prey.
Yeah,
Yep.
Prey is a reboot.
I did not know
it's
that.
Remake?
It's like a not sequel.
Yeah, something like that. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a not sequel is the best way to put it.
In any case, what I have is the PS4 version, so I'll see how it goes.
Word.
And that's pretty much everything I've been playing.
I gotta get on that lunar train. Really do.
Fucking better, man. It's good shit.
Yeah. Well, I've been playing Final Fantasy VI before bed. That's my before bed game. I've almost reached the point where I played for the podcast. No, I'm way past that actually.
Nice.
Because I got yeah. I'm like 6.5, 7 hours in now, which means I've almost gotten the magistrates, I think. The not materia for Final Fantasy VI. And after playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I told you this, Kevin, already, but it's just exacerbated how much the retro Final Fantasy games streamline the story. Yeah. And
Cut the bullshit.
well, it's just events happen so quickly rather than letting them sink in and let characters develop. That's why I like the Final Fantasy VII Remake so much. I've heard this in a number of people describe it. I think it's just a phrase going around now. Is Final Fantasy used to be you grind the game to get to the story, and now you grind the story to get to the game. Which I don't like. I get the comparison or the parallel there, but I don't totally agree with that with Final Fantasy VII, because there's a lot of gameplay to it. I never felt like I was grinding out watching something enjoyable, and the cutscenes weren't long. Not really. There was a couple areas that were... I spoke about those already, but you get the point.
Yes.
Yeah. Joey, I did beat Ori Wisps. Ori Wisps. I did beat it.
Or Wispy Boys.
Yeah.
Took you a while.
It took me... Yeah, well, I wasn't in any rush to beat it, that's for sure. Yeah, the combat... it made the boss fights less memorable. The chase scenes were like half as long as I remember, except one, and that was this desert worm creature.
The sand.
That one was pretty long.
That one almost made me quit the game.
What made it so hard for you?
I don't know. I guess when you have to like jump into the sand, for some reason I couldn't get angles right, and I would either hit the wall and get killed or miss the sand completely and fall and die. So it was a lot of annoying things like that.
Ah, I see. You played with a controller, right?
Of course, played on the Xbox.
Okay. All right. Gotta make sure. Look, kitty cat. Yeah, I didn't really have any major issues with you died a lot less than I did, that's for sure.
And most of those deaths were on that sandworm.
Most of my deaths were just being super stubborn that I can get to this area, even though I probably don't have the right ability yet. because I never got stuck on, say, a boss or a chase scene. It was always just those. You know what killed me a lot? The darkness area, where as soon as the dark engulfs you in 2 seconds, you're dead. That area got me a lot.
Yeah, I don't think I died too much in there, but I went there pretty late.
Oh, see, that was the first area I went when I needed to go get the wisp, so I was very hindered with the ability section. Beat RE3 Remake. I'll have plenty of thoughts on that one for the Modern Game podcast, so I'll just leave it at that for now. It's just people are upset that the game's like 5 hours.
Are you telling me an old Resident Evil game is short? What?
Yeah, really, right?
Crazy. Those games are only like famous for being speedrun.
Yeah, I mean Code Veronica, which we just covered on the last episode, Zombies epistant, that was remarked as it's longer than all the other ones.
Oh my god, that game's... I still will not get over how people think playing that tank controls for 11 hours is going to be fun. Like, no. But whatever. People are weird.
Anyways.
Yeah, I know. I'm standing by this. Don't you anyways me.
I did anyways you.
Bad game.
I beat another bucket list game last night. I was up pretty late drinking bourbon. Drinking that Woodford's Reserve. I was playing Control. You guys remember this game from, I believe, last year.
The game that nobody thought was going to be talked about, and then everyone talked about it, yes.
Well, yeah.
But those are everyone was like, oh, this is going to be fly under the radar. Nobody's going to remember this game.
Well, it did fly under the radar because there was hardly any advertisement to it. It had a very low-key release in August of last year. Just nobody was talking about it. That is very true. It didn't sell well in that first month. And then as word got around after its release, then everybody started going crazy with it. Holy shit, this game's really good. Jay on the Modern Cast, too bad he couldn't make it here for the wrestling episode. I know he wanted to be a part of it. He is right in why he didn't get into it, in which the first hour or two, is really, really slow. And hey, we've said on this podcast plenty of times, if a game doesn't grab you, then that's the fault of the game, not you for not liking it.
Right.
Yeah. Like Code Veronica, for instance.
Don't give me nightmares.
I don't think I've ever heard of this game.
Control?
Yeah, I'm watching a video of it now.
The number one thing I heard about it is that if you have a base PS4 or Xbox, just prepare for it to blow up.
I mean, it does make it sound like a jet engine, that's for sure.
So I think that's on PC, so Joey might have a great time with it. I heard there's a lot of particle effects and pretty colors.
Oh, dude, there's still quite a number of times when so much shit is going down, especially near the end of the game, where there's so many enemies on screen and explosions. The game just lags for a second. I'm like, whoa! It's pretty wild.
It's not on Steam yet.
What?
I think it's on the Epic Store.
Bah. Epic.
Bah.
It says it's
I have to
coming
click on a
Steam.
different icon.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, but so yes, I did beat it. It was very it was very enjoyable. I'm so glad I popped it back in, and I usually don't do side missions. I usually don't care about reading documents in a story, but the way I still didn't read all the documents because there's just such a large amount of them in the game. But what I ended up noticing is whenever you get to like an interesting section or you reach kind of a rest point, let's call it that, there's always a couple documents around there to fill in the story that the world is showing, and how this bureau goes about their daily life, mixing in with all the paranormal stuff that's in the oldest house. It's pretty cool. I will say the game ends on a very poor note, so I kind of have to stand with the fact that game probably, like, critically shouldn't be... it should remain off the top 15 list of last year. Now, I personally, just because I enjoy it so much, I can't say that the ending was very satisfying.
Did you play Expansion 1 and Expansion 2?
I mean, well, I know there's a DLC that came out, but it's like $15, so I'm probably just going to wait till that's on sale.
There's that, and then they also have a Season Pass that looks like AWE. I don't know if it's out yet. No, it's coming soon. The second expansion is coming soon.
Yeah, so maybe when the second expansion comes out, the first one will go on sale. It's usually how that happens, just like with all the Fire Pro Wrestling DLC that happens. But yeah, Control, I love the gunplay system. Do you remember PsyOps, the Mindgate conspiracy, Joey?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a modern version of that.
Some people have...
Except the story's even stranger.
Some people have called it Jean Grey Visits the SCP Foundation.
Yeah, you could totally say that. You do get... I did get the levitate ability at one point, and I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. There was a sweet boss battle that's part of a side mission, but it's a side mission that's directly next to the mainline mission that you're currently doing at the point. So what happens is this object, a refrigerator, warps you inside its own little world, and it's being corrupted by the main enemy, and it's this giant, like, eyeball tentacle creature. Your favorite, Kevin. It's probably a hentai creature.
Gross.
I really liked the boss, but the boss battle was so aggravating because I kept falling through the floor. Because it would destroy... it would destroy the floor, but the problem is that you're looking up at the boss so you can hit it. So as you're looking up, you don't know what's below you. So I just kept falling. I wouldn't know where the floor was taken out. That was aggravating. But yeah, it really opens it up for a sequel, or at least these DLC packs quite well. Don't know what happened to her brother. He's in a coma or whatever, so we'll see what happens.
I can see why this game's a beast. Recommended RAM is 16 gigs.
Oh yeah, it's quite ridiculous. I still think Horizon Zero Dawn put my PS4 through a higher end workout, but yeah, Control, it really tests the limits of that box.
Good thing I've got a Pro then.
Yeah. I did boot up Fire Pro Wrestling World. All the DLC like super went on sale over time, so I don't think I paid more than $2 for a lot of it. You could buy Butterfingers and whatnot, or codes that'll make it even cheaper. So you spend, your 80 cents on a candy bar. you can get a discount code on the discount, which is kind of fun. So, busting through Fire Pro Wrestling World, playing through... They've done a bunch of updates that I just totally missed. Like, you can now put a flash drive into your PS4 with, like, 40... You can put in custom entrance songs. So you... let's see, I think it's like 30 or 40 seconds for an entrance. And then you could just assign it to the wrestler. So really cool stuff there. I've been messing about in that. So there's a bunch of updates like that for the quality of life. Those are free, and then there's DLC, such as they added the Fire Promoter mode, they added Fighting Road, so I'm not sure how I feel about this, because Spike Chunsoft is not a AAA studio, so they put out the regular content of their normal game, and then they've expanded upon it. But it just costs so much when they first come out. And being that we're in the year 20, when the game came out, 2018, 2019, 2020, I'm really conflicted that this should have been part of the base game from the start. Do you have Fire Pro Wrestling World, Kevin?
I was like mid-cough, of course you asked me that. I don't, but I didn't love the PS2 one, so I'm like conflicted if I want to get it or not.
Well, I mean, it's on sale right now. I think you can get it for like $8.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
Sold. All right, going to figure that out.
And then you can get like the GM mode DLC for cheap as well.
I just don't like. I know you're always yelling at me. Watch New Japan. It's just like I don't know anyone in it, so I'm just gonna assume they're all made up people till further notice.
Well, the best part of Fire Pro Wrestling World is the online community.
You can $15.
You can literally download the entire WWE roster with their finishers.
I just want that. Well, like, all right, I know Kenny's on it because Kenny's on the cover, and I do love me some. Wait a minute, why do I need this? 5-star Wrestling Regenesis is there.
Excuse me?
You know what? Oh, you've never heard of 5-star Wrestling Regenesis?
No.
Oh, you have something to look at. Anyway, is Cody in Fire Pro?
No, you'd have to download him.
I'm into that. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean you just what you do is you log on to Fire Pro World on your computer, and then you can just click subscribe on all of the people you want to download, and then when you boot the game up, they all just pop up in there.
Yes.
Then you can maneuver them around, create stables all you want, that kind of thing. What I've done is I've downloaded a boatload of women wrestlers from all over the world and time, and I've created GM mode through those means. So you could start a promotion with like 6 people. I made World Women Entertainment.
Oh my! What the fuck?
Yeah. Who's got the COVID going on over there?
I sneezed.
Yes.
Ah.
That's not a symptom, but we could diagnose it as that.
I mean, I held my phone as far away from me as possible when I sneezed, but apparently it didn't work.
We gotta put you down, Colin.
We gotta put you down. But
yeah, well, too bad you can't cross the border right now.
We can go out anytime we want. It's coming back in that's the problem.
Can't come to Canada.
Challenge accepted. Guys, I gotta go.
Closed.
Anyways. I gotta go.
I'll get the popcorn.
Nice.
Popcorn? No, I want those old dress chips.
What?
So yeah, I've been super addicted to Fire Pro Wrestling World, dicking around in it just constantly. I think I've restarted the GM mode for fun like 3 times at this point. Just trying to. If you're a wrestling fan, you really got to give this game a try. It is Fire Pro, so there's a bit of a steep learning curve on how the gameplay works.
So that's my issue I had with the PS2 one. I have no idea how you initiate a grapple.
Yeah, it's all based on timing.
Yeah, but what is the timing? It's like
the timing is based on their steps, their how quick they grab, and then there's grunts and groans the characters make.
That sounds
too complicated. It seems so random. Like I know people hate the WWE games, but it's like I know if I grab people, I go to grab them instead of like Saturday Night Slam Masters 2, where I walk at them and then maybe I'm in control. I don't know. I might be. That's why I never got it. So I'm gonna wait and see if I really want to do this.
Well, the Fire Pro Wrestling World has a very good tutorial.
Yeah, so the PS2 one did too. I still can't figure it.
Oh.
There's a DLC bundle on Steam, although most of the price of that bundle is the last 2 DLCs. So for $40 you can get everything.
That's not bad.
But like one of the DLCs is $30. So
I thought about getting Fire Pro for Steam just because of all the mods in the mod community.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot. I mean,
oh god, there's so much.
It is $8 on Steam right now if you just want the base game.
I think I might do that just to have it on Steam as well.
And I guess the first 2 DLCs are also really cheap, so you can probably get those 3 for like $20.
Yeah, I might have to hop on this. So yeah, definitely check out Fire Pro Wrestling World for wrestling fans. And with that, we're gonna get into our topic. So here we go. Alrighty. we're talking the AKI engine, the Aki engine for some wrestling games. Now, before the podcast, have you guys heard of this engine?
Nope.
No.
Not even you, Kevin? Did he just disappear?
You disappeared. No, I've heard of it.
Okay, you have heard of it. All right.
Yes. This mute button is like finicky.
So the history of the engine started in a game I had as a kid called WCW versus the World, a game I notoriously hated for the funky controls, the use of the spirit meter instead of, say, a usual health bar. The game has a very non-intuitive system, just in general, how the game works. Wacky modes that don't make sense to casual or young fans. It's very complicated for someone to get into. However, it did set the baseline for what was to come for the AKI Corporation in making their future games. So that's why this is brought up. Because I remember playing as a kid and I could only do like 3 moves over and over again, not knowing that the timing system was very underdeveloped for a lot of it, and how much the spirit meter plays into how the game works out. So then they went on to the Nintendo 64, Kevin's favorite console of all time.
Eat me.
And WCW NWO Revenge came out after World Tour. World Tour proceeded with this engine, both having significant improvements and expansions of each game that preceded it, i.e. most notably the grappling system, higher presentation value, creating a true wrestling show feel. Ric Flair, notably as the wrestler missing from the roster in NWO Revenge, but that was due to him being in a real-life lawsuit with WCW at the time, which I have gone through that whole period in my Nitro rewatch for the wrestling podcast, so that's a real thing. Joey, I know you and your brothers had an N64. Did you have any WCW games?
No, we never really liked WCW.
I realize you were the ECW neck of the woods.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, WWF No Mercy came out after WrestleMania 2000, kind of put you in the time frame.
I think I played that one, and I don't think I liked it.
Which one, No Mercy or WrestleMania 2000?
I think I played both of them, and I don't think I like either.
Okay.
But guys, No Mercy is the greatest wrestling game of all time. I know this because I grew up with it, and I have just the biggest rose-tinted glasses, and nothing ever has advanced beyond No Mercy in terms of video games, ever. I'm just previewing the comments, don't mind me.
Okay, right. Well, so my misunderstanding was I just thought the AKI Corporation just struck deals with whomever, and then they made a wrestling game for them. What actually ended up happening, as I learned, was with the fall of WCW, they when their contract ended, them and WCW did not come to terms. So then the AKI Corporation went on to make the WWF games, WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy. So they left just like the fans did in the late 90s for WCW. And here again, everything was further expanded upon, including now full entrances with their themes. So there's a huge progression of how the grappling system works, how accurate it is, the pacing of a match, and how these moves are utilized. And so I played Revenge. I have Revenge and No Mercy, personally. So I did the direct comparison, kind of, okay, I'll play Revenge first, kill everyone with Scott Norton and power bombs and the whatnot. It's the gameplay itself is very, very easy and user-friendly. Okay? So unlike Fire Pro, where there's a steep learning curve, I can easily see why people really love this and why they're so they want this to come back because it's just everything is right there, everything makes sense, you don't question anything. The problem with Revenge is it's not deep yet, right? It's still a very shallow system in how deep the moves go. No Mercy expands that, and that's why it's kind of regarded as the best. Plus the full entrances and whatnot, musics.
Sure, they sound lovely on the N64.
Oh yeah, the
They are
sound
the
chips.
pinnacle of wrestling games. Okay.
That was Stone Cold. Could you tell?
Oh, was that what you were trying to
do?
do?
That was a direct clip. I don't know if you heard it.
So the biggest difference in what No Mercy brought to the table was a branching story mode option. So instead of a road to WrestleMania with randomized matchups, which we will find out many of the games we're going to cover on this when we get to our theme, it was our first real taste of a real storyline in wrestling in the video game without making it up ourselves. Kind of like what you got to do in Fire Pro before the GM mode and the Road 2 stories came out in DLC packs. Now this was cool. I didn't remember this at all from No Mercy. There's the SmackDown Mall, in which you gain in-game currency to spend in the mall to get a bunch of unlockables. What a novel concept.
The Mortal Kombat crypt, yes.
Well, you just play the game normally, and you do different moves win different matchups, play through the story mode. I never felt once I was grinding, because the way the frequency and how much of the currency you get over time was very, very nice to the player.
If only they knew what was coming in the future.
Right? It was the beginning of microtransactions and grinding. Yeah. Yeah. So then during this time, there was also Virtual Pro Wrestling, and specifically 2, the second one, was a Japanese game with, and they went a kind of different route in this game, where instead of focusing on the crazy road to WrestleMania, or not, the branching story mode or the SmackDown Mall, what they did was use all that space in the N64 cart to create a massive, massive, massive roster with a plethora of the top stars in Japan across all promotions. And this game was built off the same WrestleMania 2000 code. And due to its roster alone, it stands as a high bar on what a wrestling game should represent. And there's famous wrestlers themselves that think that Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 is the best retro wrestling game out there. Kevin, AJ Styles, you can find a funny video of him like in his apartment or something saying, "Boom, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, the best," in his Southern Georgia accent.
Boom, the best.
This is the best wrestling game out there.
Wrestling game.
Yeah, wrestling. Now, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 has what's called a burning finisher.
Whoa.
So this is where, yes, let me expand upon this. So this is where you taunt up your meter in the game, and then you hit your burning finisher. Yes. But the unfortunate part is it's only for certain All Japan wrestlers, and you can only hit it once per match. So the idea behind it is only the best of the best have the best finisher, right?
Imagine being the guy in the roster who gets dicked and doesn't get one.
Right? It's like, I'm sorry, you're not up the card high enough to get this in the video game.
We just don't see you that way. Like, I'm sorry.
I do like the concept behind this a lot when I was playing this, because I'm like, man, okay, if I can only hit this once, then you really want to hit it at the climax of the match, right? You want to end the match with this sucker. And then I really like the fact that certain wrestlers can only have these types of moves, so you can assign this accordingly. So imagine if this concept was actually continued and perfected for later games. I think they could have done a lot more with that. So the point with all of these games is you can see a progression and kind of a split in between what Japanese wrestling fans were looking for in a game and American ones, Western. Western fans wanted the showmanship, the presentation, right? The Nitro, the WWF Raw, while Japanese fans wanted that sports feel. They wanted the bigger roster, the specialty moves, right?
Right.
So eventually we came to kind of a crossing where both of those came together, and that's where kind of the SmackDown series comes into play. Where Ukes took it to another level. And speaking of that, now the question is, what happened to the AKI engine? If it's so well regarded, what happened to it? Right?
Def Jam.
Where did the games move on to? What happened to the company? Well, what happened was WWE struck a deal with Ukes, and they went on to make the SmackDown series exclusive. So AKI wouldn't be able to strike a deal with WCW or a company, a different company of the time. They wanted basically WWE wanted this company to only make their games and no one else. Okay. So, of course, now this was a deal with Ukes they had up until 2K20 disaster. That just happened.
Yes.
Meanwhile, EA were the ones that bought the rights to AKI and planned to make an entirely new WCW game, but we know how WCW turned out, what their fate was, so the game never came. Later, however, Def Jam Vendetta came out, the rapper wrestling game.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, are you familiar with Def Jam?
Yeah.
Yeah. This was actually a game based on the AKI engine and got critically acclaimed reviews. The gameplay, this was that everything we listed of how everything was progressing, it's all in Def Jam. The showmanship, the large roster, a story mode, the burning finishers, everything's in Def Jam Vendetta. So imagine that as once the Ukes engine released a couple of games, it's been behind ever since and constantly compared to AKI even to this day. So, there's your history over the engine and the games, and it was very fascinating to see the progression of the graphics, the gameplay itself, and how it just kept innovating upon itself. That's something that wrestling, I think, at least with Ukes, wrestling games have been missing ever since. You don't feel like there's an improvement, if anything. At least I don't know how you feel about this, Kevin. Or and then Joey, I'll ask you a question in a second here.
Yes.
It just what Ukes does. It seems like it's a regression on what the game should be. It delved into more about QuickTime events or these bars you got to fill out. It didn't.
Yes.
Go on.
It's well, I mean, your point's made, but I think the problem is when you had like the earlier N64 games, and I know I shit on the system a lot, but they at a level they felt arcadey. Even if like the deepest point you got was like how you're saying you do these 3 moves over and over and over. But when I played Revenge, I would do those 3 moves, and then I'd be like, oh, what if I run at them? Oh, now I have a turnbuckle. But then you'd like play more and you develop more moves. Like you'd figure out what button combinations do this. And as we've gotten into the newer 2K games, like I played 18, which everyone shit on, I thought it was fine. And then 19, I felt like it was worse somehow. Like I could only do these moves because we got so simulation-y that...
Yes, over-simulized.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, and that, I mean, I'll tie it into something recent that's happened soon. But then I felt like we lost, like, because pro wrestling compared to actual grappling is a over-the-top spectacle, it's weird to see a simulation game. Because this is the farthest thing, I guess in a way it's the most simulation of grappling. But like I want these over the top moves, and I kind of guess that's why I fell out of love with like I played a lot of SmackDown versus Raw when that was the thing.
Sure.
But when All Stars came out, what the fuck is that? When All Stars came out,
unscrewing the cap on my water bottle.
It sounded like a cat in a rocking chair. But like when All Stars came out, like when you do a stunner and like people do like 30 backflips, like, you know, that was like the most video gamey ass video game. So like I kind of don't want to see simulation stuff, you know? It's just, I don't know, it's very different now.
So, to ask you, Joey, we played the wrestling games a lot when we were kids. A lot. It was a huge thing. It was a big deal. The SmackDown series.
Yeah.
Know Your Role. Here Comes the Pain.
Yeah. Which is why I think I didn't like No Mercy, because the first two PS2 SmackDown games I thought had a lot more than just wrestling in it, so it was more to bring you in. So then going to like an N64 game, it just felt lacking to me.
Well, the N64 also had its own limitations.
Yeah.
Where the SmackDown series got aggravating, because I really liked Know Your Role and Here Comes the Pain in those games.
Yeah, then it went downhill fast. I don't think I played too many after that.
No, and you could definitely feel when the game went downhill, and that's because they started becoming counter fests, reversal fests.
Yes.
Where it was simply you didn't feel like you were in a wrestling match anymore. It was just, oh, I did this faster than you, and that's it.
Yeah.
Or I timed it better. That was it.
Well, the one thing I liked about like the newer 2K games is that you could put you had a reversal meter, so like you had to pick and choose when you would want to take a hit and when you want to reverse. So that part I like, because then it wasn't like, okay, now you can't just counter, because when I really got good at like SmackDown vs. Raw 2006-7, I knew the animations, I knew what point I had to hit reverse, you know?
Yeah.
I was nailing it.
One of them that you can actually counter their finishers too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took like 2 reversal things or something.
Yeah, they tried to expand on that, but it wasn't really fixing the issue, so to say, and that was always a problem. And then later, as you said, Kevin, it's too overly simulated, right. And a lot of recent examples are just you ending a match where now it's a quick time event, where if you're in a submission, it's just whoever hits the button the fastest kind of the situation, which it's not the best idea for a controller.
No, but it's the thing is, I don't think anyone has really nailed a perfect submission system, and even like, again, going to like the EA UFC games, like they don't even have a good system, and that's supposed to be like real grappling.
Right.
But I don't know. Nobody really has nailed a good submission. What the shit?
Thanks
Anyway,
for picking up every noise I make.
Oh, I didn't even know what it was. I was scared. Anyway, I don't think there's been a good submission system in a wrestling game / I guess grappling game yet.
That you could definitely argue that.
Yeah.
They've tried to incorporate, limb work, body parts, but it never seems to, at least in the Western releases, not in Fire. I think Fire Pro does it pretty well. Probably could still expand upon the limb work and bodies going down and all that. But again, I would agree, Kevin, that the submission games are it's time this button now, and if you miss it, you give up immediately. That's stupid. Or push this button faster than your friend, for example. How you push a button faster than a computer, you could get to some Mario Party type bullshit there with the computer on hard.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. I definitely feel, because I don't have too much nostalgia for the Aki engine at all, but with it staying more arcadey and seeing the development, and then seeing the product of Def Jam Vendetta and how that came out, definitely the wrong company went down, so to say. Because Yuke's ever since they got to a point, went downhill very fast. And we know where that went, so know how that turned out.
It's I feel like we need more. I think we need to really just take pro wrestling games at they are, and pro wrestling in general. It's stupid. It's over the top, and like the more they try to make it like a real sport, the more I personally cringe. I'm like, come on, stop it.
Overly handcuffing the player to forcing you to play this way is not a good idea.
No.
Yeah.
But they love doing that.
Now, Colin, did you have any wrestling games growing up? Anything like this? Do you have any memories? 'Cause I know you're not a wrestling fan.
I remember the only wrestling games I really remember playing are WWF Superstars on Game Boy, and I remember playing WWF Warzone at my one friend's house who had an N64. And he would
Warzone, yes.
And he would always choose Stone Cold Steve Austin, much like how
smart man.
He was on the cover. He was. Some would say he was pretty popular at that time.
Yeah.
Much like how he would always choose Oddjob in GoldenEye multiplayer.
Bold comparison.
Well, they are both bald.
It's like, say, I feel like if he said Hornswoggle, that would have been funnier. If only he was around then. Can't be Hornswoggle, he's short.
I remember one real dick move he pulled. At one point, we were playing a cage match, and I was playing as Undertaker. And for once, I was actually winning because I successfully landed a punch, and then
Whoa!
And successfully climbed the side of the cage and landed a falling tackle. My friend didn't like that, so he reset the N64 right then and there without finishing the match.
Ah, what a sore loser.
Yeah, I was pretty annoyed, but too spineless back then to really call him on it.
Oh man, what a power surge we just had. Crazy.
If only the controllers were like the 3DO where you're dangled into your friend.
Nope, nobody wishes that, actually.
Oh, look, your controller's unplugged. Oh, no, what a bummer.
Yeah. So I should let the audience know right now, in the same vein as Kevin's opinions on Resident Evil, wrestling games are, by default, not call-in games. So don't be surprised if I fail most of our picks. Pro wrestling in general is not a call-in thing. So, I mean...
That's fair.
I can see why people like it. I just can't get into it, for me personally.
I don't see why you don't get the appeal of men running around in tights, yelling at each other, and then doing over-the-top moves that would kill them. Doesn't appeal to you.
I think that's
weird.
I think that's a lot of what turned me off of it even when I was a kid, because they spent way more time yelling at each other than actually fighting.
It's called anime, and it's art. Thank you.
Well, back then I was more into Jackie Chan
wrestling
type stuff, where they actually cut the bullshit and actually got straight to the fighting.
So you like movies, but you don't like pro wrestling, huh?
Correct.
No, I used to be that way, so I get it.
All right, next theme. Here we go.
It's the big...
Alrighty. So, yes. Short magazine game review from a game we played on a past episode. I'll just say this again since it's only the second episode. This was inspired from Castlezotz on Twitter for posting an old GamePro review of Castlevania Symphony of the Night, where they torched the game and gave it like a 4 out of 10.
Accurate. Got it?
Yeah. Yeah, of course, right? Not a
general
game.
consensus. Everyone hates that game.
So you can go to retromags.com to find many of these archived old gaming magazines. That's a preservation site. Really nice. So from episode 2, the Couch Co-op episode, be doing Gunstar Heroes. I took this from GamePro issue 55 from February 1994. Funny enough, that's 5 months after the game's release.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotta have that timely review.
Timely review,
And I
yeah.
gotta get the clicks, you know?
So this review was by Bro Buzz, very 90s. This review was all about how radical the game was and using metaphors for comical values, it seemed. And I'm noticing that a lot of these GamePro magazines wanted to bring in more comedy to their reviews. Phrases like, "It's an assault on your senses, as well as your trigger finger." Get it, Kevin? You get it?
Yeah, just a real quick question. Were the 90s a mistake?
No, they were good times.
Nah, I
They were
feel
my
like they were a
childhood.
mistake. Okay, so yes, they were a mistake. Got him.
Oh.
Sorry, had to.
Some other quotes I took was, "Chaos in a cart. The real stars of this thumb buster are the controls and character moves."
Is this guy still right?
I don't know. I should look that up. Yeah, the
should.
cart's graphics wage their own battle against good and evil. There's so many in these. Yeah.
Do they say tubular once?
No, there was never tubular.
Well,
there
this
was a radical
article's
though,
bullshit.
Kevin.
This is
There
dumb.
was a radical. Come on.
It's not tubular though.
Yeah. There were some cool pro tips in the captions over stage selection, combining the weapons, hinting at actually what we recommended by trying out the harder stage first and get them out of the way, but that's only if you can beat that level in the first place.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I ended up listening back to our little review we made over Gunstar Heroes, so some similar things we said back then. The game got a graphic score of 4 out of 5, sound 4 out of 5, control 5 out of 5, fun factor 5 out of 5, giving it a modern score of 90 out of 100, boys.
Whoa.
Nice.
Yeah, not that perfect score Earthworm Jim got. Yeah, a fun review. I enjoyed reading. It was very entertaining. And then I found Sega Visions magazine. Not a lot of Sega magazines. Nothing like Nintendo Power for Sega, but I did find Sega Visions. Issue 16. This was the dual December-January issue. Again, 4 months after the game's release. So you can what's funny is you can definitely tell when a title's not made by, a major studio, because the review in the magazines come out 1, 2, 4 months after the game's initial release.
Yeah, who would be out there reviewing really old games after they came out? Like,
yeah, like
who
half a
does
year
that?
after it came out. They're like, go get it. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
well, you say in the magazine the game's $50, $60, and then I just went to Funkoland and it's half.
who's out there like I don't know, 15 plus years just later, like who's out there reviewing them? Am I right, guys? Crazy.
That'd be weird, right? So this was my first time reading this magazine, and gotta be honest, now that I think about it, really wasn't aware of any popular Sega magazines growing up. You guys remember any Sega magazine at all?
Honestly, no.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly. So this wasn't much of a review, as it was more of an advertisement with hints and tricks, despite the tag caption at the top and in the table of contents saying, "Just review it."
So it's a normal review that you would see nowadays. Just an advertisement.
It was definitely not a review, despite saying review it.
Sounds like nothing's changed.
Yeah, I did well.
That was a satirical
At least in my Game Informer magazine, they don't do the tips and tricks and hints and all that stuff anymore.
Yeah, Game Informer is definitely unbiased and not owned by a giant like Game Chain or anything.
Yeah, that's why a lot of the reviews are 7 and 8s out of 10.
Yes.
And then the AAA titles always seem to get 8.5 to 9 and 10.
Crazy.
Yeah, weird, right?
Yeah.
Just take the score out of it and just read it. That's what I do.
This game sucks 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I did really like the hints and tips for the boss battles, as well as it addresses the solutions to make the game more manageable for struggling players, like weapon uses, control help during stages. That was pretty cool. This does, however, recommend players to take the stages in order as opposed to the GamePro review, which gave you a couple more options. So I thought that was interesting.
Don't believe the fake media.
Yeah. So Gunstar Heroes got kind of the universal love, but again, Earthworm Jim got that perfect score. Just saying. Yeah. No review score for the Sega magazines.
You
Thought
don't
that
want
was
to be
interesting,
swayed.
too.
You would have skipped the whole article and just read the number, you know?
Yeah, well, right. That's what matters.
Crazy.
Have you guys gone back and played Gunstar Heroes lately at all?
Not lately, but I pop it on every once in a while when I want to show one of my friends what a good old game is before they just go, old games. Pff.
Yeah, I love Gunstar Heroes. One of my favorite Sega games.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember when
Go on, Colin.
came to Rhode Island to visit in January. We tried playing it co-op, but one of the buttons on my controller wasn't working. And
Classic JD giving the bad controller to the friend.
No, it needs the it basically needs the 6-button controller, and I just could not find my second 6-button Genesis controller. I just did not know where it was. Then of course, like, I think it was like a month later, I just found it out of nowhere. I was just like, Colin, I found it.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Sure, JD. Sure.
Yeah,
you lost
classic
it,
move.
and then you found it afterwards. Mm-hmm.
Colin saw me just scrummaging through everything to try to find this thing.
Yeah, I get baked doing that
Mad
too.
Cats one.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I was so determined.
It's too bad. I really wanted to play co-op because I played a bit
luckily
of the
it's on PS3.
Well, I have it on my PS3, but I got nobody to play it with. My brother's too busy raising his kids.
What a jerk!
What a jerk.
While trying to raise a family.
Oh boy. All right. Time for our theme pick finally. Here we go. Kevin, I will happily let you know that was Chris Jericho's AEW entrance.
God damn it! I just ruined it. Fuck.
Yeah,
Such a good
you
song.
sang over it.
To be fair, Jericho should hire me to do his entrance.
Oh,
So.
right, yeah.
What are we
He
gonna
shouldn't
do
have
when
sang it.
Jericho retires, man? Life's not gonna be the same.
Root for someone else?
No, there's nobody that can replace him.
Well, no, there's only one Chris Jericho out there.
What stupid idiot wears a scarf?
It's all about the bubbly bunch. Anyways,
Fucking love him.
this is my theme pick, wrestling games. Very timely considering that no wrestling is really going on except AEW and WWE and a couple Japanese promotions doing YouTube shows.
Yes.
Empty arena stuff. The criteria were, well, you guessed it, wrestling video games. I personally think where the value in wrestling games lie are two things. Customization and replayability. What do you guys think?
Yes. Like most fighting games.
Yeah.
Joey? Colin?
I would just say
And how pretty the guy's hair looks.
over the top stuff because if I remember, I just remembered another WWF game playing way back when. It was really, really over the top in that characters actually had like superpowers. I remember Hunter Hearst Helmsley was in that one, and
All right, I'm in.
he had the ability to like pull out a pipe and do like a magic golf swing to knock people into the air.
What the fuck
And
are you
there's-
playing?
It's like every single character had special moves like that. So I remember that game being really fun.
It sounds like WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game.
Oh yeah! Would they look like Mortal Kombat graphics, Colin?
Kinda. I remember it was like a
Yes.
DOS game. Can't remember what it was called. I think it was like
Oh.
something in the house. WWF.
Oh,
in the
it was a sequel. In Your House. Yep.
Yeah, that's the sequel to it.
Ironically,
Undertaker
that
pulls
one,
out a gravestone and smashes guys with it, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of people say that
I
one's
remember
not
that game
as
being really
good.
fun.
Yeah. You know what? We should have picked arcade game. Fuck, man. What a bad choice. What did I do? I made mistakes here. Oh.
Well, this is why I there's so much replayability value in Fire Pro is the deep roster and the excessive amount of customization options. So with that being said, let's get into my first pick, and because we had the whole topic over the Aki engine and talking up the progression of going from Revenge to No Mercy to Def Jam, I wanted to pick a couple games that have a purpose, different of the era, and we definitely have never played before. So I picked a promotion that was really, really popular in the 90s, and that's All Japan Pro Wrestling. So I picked All Japan Pro Wrestling 2, 3 to 4 Budokan.
What a name.
I don't know. A very strange title. It came out on the Super Nintendo. You can get this sucker for $5 plus shipping, assuming that you've either modded your Super Nintendo or you have yourself a Super Famicom.
You can't mod games, it's illegal.
No, you mod your system. So
you
it
can't
plays
do that.
anyways.
It's illegal.
Developed by Natsumi, published by NCS. TurboGrafx, much guys?
I've heard of that.
Came out in Japan, 1995. It's your 1995 All Japan Pro Wrestling roster. Guys like Baba. Well, he wasn't around. He wasn't wrestling yet. I think he was retired. Jumbo Tsuruta, Dr. Death, Steve Williams, Stan Hansen. Those guys. Okay, so full disclosure, definitely had to emulate this one.
You can't do that.
I definitely did. I do not have a Super Famicom, but I have thought about getting one.
Illegal.
Illegal. You're illegal.
Whoa, shut up. Don't tell anybody.
Well, no. Don't you have like a Retron, Kevin, that can play Famicom games?
I have a modded Wii.
Oh. A modded Wii to play Famicom games?
Modded Wii U. Sorry. It's all emulated. I'm fucking with you. Jeez. It's
No,
like half of my thing. Oh, the Retron. No, I have a Super Retro Trio, which I love, because the Retron broke twice.
Ah, Super Retro Trio, and that's what you play your Famicom games on, right?
Yeah, now I mostly use the modded Wii U because I'm lazy and I don't want to go grab things off a shelf.
Ah.
Mostly.
Okay.
It's that.
So before I go on my tangent with all of my notes, I have to know what you guys thought of AJPW 2 3-4 Budokan.
I played all of 4 minutes because I couldn't tell what the hell was going on.
I thought it was boring. The sounds are very repetitive. And honestly, every time I would get a move that I could potentially pin them, they were next to the ropes, so break. So I thought it was really annoying. And the times that I had them in the middle of the ring, they would always kick out at 2.5. So I played it 20 minutes, one match, and couldn't win. And he couldn't beat me either, so I just gave up.
I just
love it. Good experience.
I just watched YouTube videos of it. I don't have much to say about it other than that the music is cool. And it kind of reminds me of WWF Superstars on the Game Boy, because just the ability to grab and throw opponents, but that's really all I can say.
Okay. So I was not able to find a review on this game for the Retro Mags part that I've been adding. Unfortunately, I would have to translate old Japanese reviews, and I was like, I don't feel like doing that. Anyways, its best feature mode I found out is probably the Budokan mode, and that's where you create your own wrestling card and can pick which wrestlers you want to play with. Really reminded me of the a chunk of the GM mode that's in Fire Pro Wrestling World. Also adds the multi-tap player option, which the past games did not feature, supposedly, in this series. The regular modes are singles, tags, fatal four-ways, along with a champions mode, so you can battle for the title. And that's very common in many of these wrestling games from the past.
Was your game translated? Because all I saw was just Japanese everywhere, and I couldn't figure out what the hell's going on.
Oh, I translated them.
Yeah, you can
so I could know what I'm picking and that kind of stuff. You can simply just you can get an app on your phone where you take a picture, and then you throw it in the app and it translates it.
That's too much work.
That sounds like a lot of work. Yeah,
it took like 1 second.
I don't. Maybe if it was a good game.
Yeah, maybe if I actually wanted to play the game longer.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's fair. The main issues, it plays like a very primitive Fire Pro Wrestling, where all the moves are based on timing, so that's why you're having a lot of trouble, Joey. AKA grapple, whip, corner, lunge, those stuff. And this is actually where Fire Pro got its start with the series. So you know how we talked about the progression of the Aki system? This was the start of the progression of the Fire Pro system.
Wait a minute. I'm going to stop you right there. This is not the start of the Fire Pro series. Everyone knows it's
I didn't say Fire Pro series. I said system.
Never mind. You got me. Okay. I'm going to go in my corner now.
Yeah. The main issues that pop up is indeed the primitive timing system of the grapples. It still wasn't fully developed yet, and this does lead to some input issues. The camera is a huge pain in the ass, so whenever wrestlers go outside the ring, the camera will not follow the wrestlers, even the legal guy in the ring. So there were times where the camera just wouldn't pan nor keep up with the wrestlers easy, so I found myself in the computer going at it all off screen, just praying that the computer would just leave me alone so I could get back in the ring. So that was a no bueno there. And one last comment is the overall screen presentation. This is also very primitive. There's no health indicator, no timing indicators. The only thing you know are the matches have a 30-minute time limit, but there's no clock. So you almost got a draw, Joey.
Yay.
Yeah. Your only indication is the wrestler's posture slumping more and moving slightly slower from damage taken. That's it. There is some real good music, albeit it's very short and repetitive. It's actually by the same composer of the Mega Man X games and Castlevania, so I thought that was funny. Yeah. So there's some fun fact there. So yes, very primitive. Not all of it works. The camera's bad. It gets an easy fail, unfortunately. But it does have its place in history. So I am glad I played it and saw the beginnings of how kind of like Fire Pro turned out.
Mm. Yes, it's fucking
I imagine
boring.
all you guys are in agreement that it fails.
The only thing I will say that's impressive, and this happens in a lot of Japanese games, is like the overly creepy photorealistic thumbnails of people's faces. They do that a lot in Japanese games, and I don't understand why, because they always kind of look like murder files, and I don't like it.
It's like a digitized graphic for the sprite.
Yeah, it always looks so unsettling. Like... I never liked that.
My second game was New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yep, a New Japan game from the past.
What?
Toukon...
JD covered in Japanese wrestling? What?
Hey, yeah, I did. Hey, New Japan was also popular in the 90s.
Sure.
So much so they had a deal with WCW back in the day.
Oh.
New Japan Pro Wrestling Toukon Road 2, The Next Generation. So another sequel. This came out on the N64.
Fail.
Goes for about $35 plus shipping and all that. Developer was Ukes. So yes, the same SmackDown people and the ones that just burned their bridge with WWE. Published by Hudson and released in Japan 1998. Guys, this game has a kick-ass rocking intro. I love the intro sequence to this game.
Yeah, I actually have it up now, and I'm watching the... it's very cinematic.
Yes, that is something you'll notice immediately with this game.
Yeah, before the match, there was a lot of cutscenes.
Oh my god, I just saw something horrible.
Why is everyone's
face...
The faces? What the hell is wrong with the faces? Like,
why are they all just flat pictures?
It looked like there's like a black hole in the middle of some of their faces, and everything just sucked in, and it just... I couldn't get over it. The faces are just like nightmares.
Awful. Ew. Good thing Jushin Thunder Liger's wearing a mask.
Yeah, you can definitely be proud of that one.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and speaking of music, this awesome rockin' music plays throughout all the matches, too.
Oh, the music.
I love it. This is one of its best things. Yeah, game features a full roster, wrestler entrances, full presentation. So this took that system that No Mercy tried to expand upon with the showmanship, the presentation. This took it up to 11. This was just great.
I think it went too far. I picked one of the wrestlers, and there was like an intro to his intro. For some reason, the music played, it had lights, then nothing happened for a good 30 seconds, and then different music played, and I walked out. So, it was confusing.
Because it's a wrestler's entrance, man. Gotta wait for your cue.
Yeah, but I don't want to sit there in a video game to wait for that cue. They could have cut it down a little
you
bit.
Could skip it.
Yeah, I know, but come on. I was expecting to walk out, but it took a forever.
Yeah, Japanese wrestling is a lot of showmanship from what I've seen. The little I've seen.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
The crowds are flat 2D sprites. Very good. Classic.
Yeah. It has both a full model ring announcer and in-ring referee, which hilariously moves around like a character on a hockey foosball table.
As he should.
Oh my god, it is great. It's like someone took the stick and moved it across the screen. I'm not. Try to imagine the referee doesn't walk around the ring; he slides. It's Kevin. You got. I need your reaction here. You got to.
Let me get
see
to
the moment.
I'm getting there because I guess you should know I did not emulate an N64 game because it's hard and let me.
It's not hard.
It's hard to make it work well.
No, it's not.
Okay, well, whatever. I guess you. Oh my god, it's awful. The one thing I do like better, I will say, the camera work is better than like Revenge or any of the AKI.
Yes,
stuff,
because
like,
this game was
zoomed out.
all about the showmanship and presentation.
Yeah. So I like that. I don't know. I mean, this whole engine is better, I think.
I think so as well.
I can't get over the faces. I'm sorry.
The faces could be improved. Yes,
I couldn't get over that either.
Oh my god, the referee is zooming.
I did.
That's what he does.
Did not like this game.
Yeah.
I think I made the guy tap out in the match I played, but it was just not fun.
It's like I can see the potential in this. It's just like, am I going to go through the effort of either getting a Japanese cart, ripping the tabs out of my... Oh, no, that's not the tabs, Super Nintendo. Whatever, doing all the steps I have to play or like emulate it, I'm like, nah, I'm pretty good. Like, it was interesting to look at, I guess. But, like, I'm good.
What'd you think, Colin?
Again, I just watched YouTube videos and I was bored shitless.
Bummer.
You're going to say he hates wrestling, remember?
Yeah. So there are 4 game modes in this one. Exhibition, you got your singles tag, 4-man elimination, and an 8-man tournament, which was cool.
Ooh.
There's the IWGP title run, tag title run, and finally there's an MVP mode, which is a block-style G1 tournament story mode.
Yes.
And this was great. Like, after you win like every match, different members of the NWO will try to recruit you to their side. Yeah, until you finally get to like Chono and Tenzon that want to recruit. They were the top guys of the NWO. So that was funny. I was like, no, I don't want to join your party. I'm trying to win the title over here,
bro. Like what?
No, not the Wolfpack.
No, I want to be part of the Wolfpack though.
Wolfpack
Which one
was
had
the
Nash
best.
in it? Which one had Nash in it?
Look,
Wolfpack,
I'm
the red and
I'm
black.
rewatching all that on from Nitro, and they've done nothing with the Wolfpack. It's quite bad.
That's the red and white one, right? Or red and
red and black.
Black and red.
Yeah, black and red was Wolfpack.
I like the Kevin Nash one because Kevin Nash is cool.
Yeah, I like Kevin Nash too.
Started both, but anyways.
Whatever. Hogan sucks.
Yeah,
Well, that I agree.
second that.
Yeah.
I was sad when Kevin Nash left WWF for WCW.
Money, talks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't want to pay him.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
So the
Sick man.
the gameplay of Token Road 2 is strange. Especially when comparing it to other wrestling games. The moves are based on a progression system rather than the usual, let's say, a button sequence or a timing system in Fire Pro. I had to look this up because it was not intuitive. You hold Z, and then you press A or B or double tap, and the moves get stronger as the opponent gets damaged more in a match. So eventually, you will tap them out, hit a bigger move. It's simple now that you looked it up. Now that I looked it up, right? But it's not obvious at first one bit, and that's the problem.
But you had to look it up.
But I had to look it up, and that itself is a problem. Yeah. Because you would think, oh, you just use the C buttons, or press A or B, and then a direction, something like that. No, you gotta hold the Z button, and
I can hear you wanting to say Z. Just say Z.
No, I don't wanna. So yeah, the gameplay is really strange, but the showmanship and how it presents and its little modes, that was super impressive to me for 98. It was trying to do something different. I could see in like sequels or progression in the series in this way that they could improve upon the gameplay. Very simple. This gets a pass from me, but it's certainly not the best wrestling game I've ever played.
The faces are too big of a nightmare. It's a fail.
Ah.
Can I pass it solely on comedy?
Sure.
All right, I'm in.
Absolutely, you can do that.
I fail it.
And Colin hates it, so he fails.
Jeez.
All right, Joey, your pick.
My game, Legends of Wrestling for the PlayStation 2. Also came out on the GameCube and Xbox. PlayStation 2 in 2001, Xbox and GameCube 2002. Actually quite like this game, and I want to say it's a little ahead of its time, because when you can create a wrestler, you could go male, female, or legend, just like we knew they were not binary in their sexes, because we know legends are not male or female. They are legends.
Well, I play Pokemon, and I will notice none of those Pokemon have gender. I'm just saying.
Hey,
all the legendaries.
Legends don't have gender, so
it's true.
I don't know. I liked this game. I thought this is the only one I actually enjoyed on the podcast.
So what's funny that you say that is every time I've ever heard someone talk about Legends of Wrestling, it's always been like, man, this is terrible. So it's interesting to hear you say that, and I trust people I know more than like random reviews.
But it's also compared to the other games on this podcast. Like, I don't think I'd play this game on its own. If it wasn't on the podcast, I don't think I would touch it. But compared to the two Japanese wrestling games that JD made us play, this was a little better. Although there were some really annoying things. I was in one match, and the guy kept calling his manager over to interrupt the match, and I was like...
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. I have to go on a little thing here about pro wrestling. Why do they allow managers at ringside? Their only job is to distract matches, and it happens every match. And at some point, when is the referee going to be like, no, just get out of here. I know what you're going to do. Stop it. They can't be here. What are they managing? So they did their job, is what you're saying, Joe.
But yeah, and it had an interesting counter mechanism where you just had to time the button right, which got kind of annoying. And I couldn't ever get the finisher to work. I don't know why. I played RVD, and
he's in this.
Your ECW boy, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Did I not unlock him?
He started off. He was all the way on the last page. He started out unlocked for me. Like, you had to move over. But he had one move where he just kicks you down to your knee and then kicks you again, and it's pretty powerful. So that's all you really had to do.
RVD is best character in all games, to be fair. So, you know what? I didn't even realize there were more than one screen.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah,
but this game has a lot of unlockable characters, so that's pretty interesting. Yeah. Plus, you can make your own character, so it had enough that it was slightly enjoyable compared to everything else.
I do like the cartoony nature of this game, which is like, again, pro wrestling's a cartoon. Let's accept it. You know, I like the nonsensical style of it.
The stun.
Yes.
Yeah, but unlike cartoons, I can't buy into what's happening.
Who's buying into what's happening in cartoons?
Me. I mean, I'm immersed in it. I know it's fake, but it's convincing enough that I can throw that part of my mind out while I'm watching. With wrestling, I can't do that.
The best way to look at wrestling is like watching the closest thing to real life superheroes, not to ricochet it up here. But like, it's just like watching superheroes do superhero stuff.
It's like a male soap opera.
Oh, it's redneck anime again.
I get that. I mean, I try. Believe me, I fucking try. But I just can't make myself buy into anything that's happening. And the games, a lot of these games are the same way. I mean, it is impressive that these guys have the physical fortitude, balance, and flexibility to pull off the stunts that they do. Live, no less. But
steroids will do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I've
steroids and pain meds. That's all you need.
But I've never been to a live show, so I mean, I'm sure if I were at a live show, the infectious cheer of the crowd would at least put me in a good mood. But that's all that would do. But that's just me.
I get that. So.
Yeah.
So to answer your manager question, Kevin, since you don't, you just assume a manager is always a heel.
No, I don't assume they're
guy.
always a heel. I assume their whole job is to get in, just somehow. All right, just put it this way. Let's say we're watching a UFC fight and they have their cornerman. Could you just imagine if every 5 to 10 minutes the cornerman pulled the ref over to stop what was going on in the octagon? And people would lose their shit. And also, there are cameras literally everywhere. And not once does anyone go, "Hey, we should rewatch the tape. I think that guy poked the other guy in the eye. I think we should go back to that, guys. There was a world title on the line, right? Should we look at this?"
No, there's no instant replay. You can't do that.
Crazy.
I like it better when the guy's clearly knocked out and there's a chair in the ring. They're like, "Oh, I don't know what happened here."
Hold on. Because Eddie Guerrero had mastered that art of throwing a chair at a guy, then falling down, acting like he was just knocked out, and then the ref turning around going, "Well, what's going on here? What I miss?" I love
That's
that.
the only time they did it.
Oh, and then there was that. Well, it was recently. This is going off topic, but I think it was Braun Strowman match where the ref was like, "I heard a steel chair go off. You're disqualified." I'm like, "Oh, now you can hear? What?"
What happened to all the other years? Did you just get your hearing aid in? What's going on?
Vince McMahon shouting in the ear the whole match. It's rough.
Well, you do get managers and coaches and whatnot in other sports where they're on the sidelines going nuts and yelling at the refs and all that.
Yes,
so,
but they normally stop the sport while they're getting in arguments.
Or there's multiple refs, so the other refs can continue watching.
Well,
the game go on.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And
then selectively, sometimes they call a second ref down to be like, no, his foot was on the rope. You didn't see that? I love all the plot. Half the fun of watching pro wrestling, Colin, is watching the stupid plot holes in pro wrestling.
The absurdity of it all.
Oh, it's all so dumb.
Fair enough.
All right, so
one other thing I like about this game is that you could be the ref.
Oh yeah.
So
okay,
that was interesting to me.
Funny.
Yes.
But I forgot to say it was published and developed by Acclaim. So
yes,
there's that.
Thing is,
game is very cheap to get. It's $4.
Ooh.
Thing is, I only recognize 3 of these guys. Hulk Hogan.
Okay, who did you recognize, Colin?
I recognize Hulk Hogan, Ted DiBiase, and Bret Hart. That's all I know.
Okay.
Ted DiBiase.
Good choice.
I mean, he was in the WWF Superstars game I played on Game Boy. And
okay, all right, that explains it.
Also, he actually came to speak at my school at one point in grade 12.
What?
What?
Yeah. I mean,
did he buy your school?
Remember, you could just buy this degree.
I just remember him outlining how he got to where he was as a pro wrestler, and the only thing I really remember is that had to do with him getting a football scholarship for college, and that's pretty much all I remember. I guess it was supposed to be a pathway to success, motivational talk.
That sounds about right. Take it from the $1 Million Man.
Yes.
One thing I did kind of about the game
is
is that when characters do crotch stomps, you hear a bike horn sound.
Yeah, because absurdity, as we should be doing with wrestling games.
That's video game absurdity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wonderful is what you're saying.
Huh.
So you can get around 12 hours according to how long to beat, and that's going through all the modes, unlocking all the guys. The roster of wrestlers is pretty cool. It gives an excellent look at the legends across the territory days in particular. So pre-90s, basically.
Saw some Von Erichs up in there.
I can't help but think in 2001, 2002, when this came out, that nobody was really looking to this era for a video game like this. Know what I mean? Because it was all about the late 90s, the early 2000s. That era was just so hot. The hottest era of all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who was playing the video games were the kids growing up in that time. I can't imagine there was a ton of adults that grew up during the territories that even played video games. It's just kind of a thought I had for this.
Yes, but I'm sure if you're watching WWE, WCW, they probably referenced an older name here or there, and you're like, oh, where's he from then?
No.
Really?
Like, most of the guys in this roster weren't even in wrestling anymore. Most of the Von Erichs were dead.
RVD is all you needed, though.
Right.
RVD was, like, the ECW guys, yeah, they were part of that, but they were their separate organization.
Right.
I grew up in Texas. We had no idea what the fuck WCW even was, even know it existed for a good chunk of the time.
Right, but the thing, that's the perfect time to go back right to this, what was it, they call it the golden era or whatever. Like, it was a good time to do that because, like, now, like, how many times do you watch, I feel JD cringing already, but, like, they're bringing up legends back then of, like, a generation or two back, so, like, the timing kind of works out. Like, it would have been these guys that someone out there is nostalgic for. Plus, with the mix of, like, RVD.
Not most of the audience.
What?
Of this time, the audience, like, the older audience was in WCW, the younger audience was in WWF in this era, right?
I guess.
So, your Von Erichs, your Rock and Roll Express.
They're still going. Hold on.
Well, they're still going, but I'm talking, like, of this era, they weren't in the major organizations. The Von Erichs were dead. Most of them, anyways.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Express weren't part of... I think they were in WWF in, like, 97, 98, and that was the last time they were there. So they were already, like, 4 years removed. Anyways, back to the game itself. Mechanics are very simplistic, mostly about the comical animations than solid or deep gameplay. Nothing wrong with that. The camera in this game I thought was pretty horrid. It just zooms in and out constantly where it's overly cinematic for the sake of showmanship rather than the actual gameplay.
Kevin Dunn technique, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it was utterly atrocious. I hated the camera in this. I also hated the QuickTime meter in this game. Because depending on your difficulty, either it was way too easy or way too hard. There was no, like, in between, and I'm more like the computer in that sense. Is it just became a reversal fest rather than you mistiming something, because eventually you're just going to get tired of it because it's early QTEs, right? I thought the modes were overly simple as well. If you're going to do the cartoony thing, then go all the way. This felt kind of halfway, because there's that new WWE Playgrounds thing where it shows, like, people getting thrown into an alligator's mouth.
I cannot wait.
That's going all the way. That's something I can get behind.
Yeah, it's awesome. I can't wait.
In this one, it felt like it was missing
alligators.
The goofiness of something of that absurd, right? There's a career mode. You unlock the other wrestlers, give the player at least an incentive to seek out the other modes. Encourages the player to keep playing for those extra characters. I wish more games would do this today. Just saying. Kind of like that SmackDown Mall and No Mercy and.
Right.
No, you gotta.
I'm in.
No, everything's DLC now. Fuck it.
Well, you really
gotta pay for that.
You really want the player to stick around.
Why not do both? Make them have to pay and then unlock it.
How fucking dare you? We gotta fire you right now.
Isn't that called buying the game?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's a privilege to buy this game. First of all, let's get that right.
My God,
we're doing you a service already.
So I did find a Nintendo Power review. I looked in GamePro. I looked at PlayStation Magazine. I looked at a number of things. they didn't review this game.
Okay.
Nintendo Power did, though, in issue 157 in June 2002. So, pretty much as late as possible. Yeah. It got a 52 out of 100, if I'm comparing it to... Yeah,
More
it got
than
a
half.
bad review. The review talked up the game as some spectacle and fun to play, and then the written review ends with, the overall look of the game, however, is a bit simplistic and cartoony. Then again, some would argue that pro wrestling never looked all that real to begin with.
Ooh, got him. Did Colin write this?
So definitely a jab at wrestling fans there.
Did Colin write this?
Yeah, I think Colin wrote that in 2002 for Nintendo Power.
Colin, I didn't realize you were so established.
There's a lot you don't know about me.
Ah, boy.
Like, I see what they were going for in the game. I just didn't see a lot of the replayability value, and that's where a lot of this cartoony aspect of a wrestling game lies. Usually when you get a game like this, the game's just not deep enough to warrant, a couple sessions with it. Could you play it more with friends and have a good laugh for 20 minutes? Absolutely. A lot of games do that. Is that good enough for long-term? No, I would argue not. Is the game horrible? I also would say no, but it just doesn't offer enough for me as a wrestling fan to stick with it, even compared to, say, the Toukon Road 2 game. So I'm going to fail Legends of Wrestling.
Yeah, no, I'm passing it. This is fun as hell.
Yeah, I'm going to pass it. For the
fail.
short time I played, I enjoyed it.
It's
Fail.
American wrestling. JD fails it. Knew it.
Oh, Jesus. I failed another Japanese game.
Likely story.
How about you, Colin?
Like I said, fail.
All right. Colin's 3 for 3 on the fail end. All right, well, tell us about your game you picked, Colin.
Okay. It's called WWF Royal Rumble on Super Nintendo and Genesis. Released on developed by Sculptured Software and published by Acclaim Entertainment. Released on Super Nintendo on June 8th, 1993, and on Sega Genesis on September 15th, 1993. Although it looks like LJN made the SNES version.
Oh, boy.
They sure did.
Fortunately, I didn't have that version on my emulator. I could only play Genesis.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. All right.
And I could not figure this game out for the life of me. And the game itself just felt very bare bones to me. It's like basic controls are punch, kick, and run, and you're a better man than me if you can figure out how to work them effectively.
I
Yep.
have a perfect strategy that wins no matter any time. You kick, 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 and then you pin. Done. You
Whoa.
win.
Dude,
Well, I didn't have the
just
patience
You
to
should go
figure
into
it
WWE. I didn't realize Joe was such a good wrestler.
So it's LJN, so you know the gameplay mechanics are going to be pretty bad, or at least bare bones, as you said, Colin. And you're absolutely right. What this is it's based on a button mash system. So you
yeah.
basically just walk up to a guy, and then you just try to hit the button as fast as you can, and then you'll do something.
Yeah, I thought this was the same game I had played a while back with some friends way back in the 90s, but I don't think it's the same because I don't see Yokozuna in the roster anywhere. I distinctly remember him being in there.
Well,
He was in there. He
Well,
jumped
I
in
didn't,
the
I
Royal
didn't see him
Rumble.
in
I
the
was
Genesis version, and I wasn't sure if he was in the SNES version.
He was in the Super Nintendo because he jumped in on he was the last person in my Royal Rumble.
Okay, then. I guess since it was in the SNES version, that didn't translate or make its way into the Genesis version, but then again, I didn't play very far.
well, I'll interrupt you there to say that the two versions had exclusive wrestlers.
Oh.
The SNES version had Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect, Ted DiBiase, Yokozuna, there's your guy, and Tatanka. And the Genesis version replaces those guys with Hulk Hogan, IRS, Jim Duggan, Rick Martel and Papa Shango.
Okay, so the Super Nintendo version, that's way cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Very much so.
Oh, I really wish I had that version on my emulator.
Yeah, you'll have to
Oh,
go
well.
buy the ROM somewhere.
I played as the Undertaker, I think.
I will say, I didn't know Bret Hart was Canadian until this game. The more you know.
What?
The Hearts
Yep.
are Canadian.
Yeah, he said he was from Calgary. Calgary, Alberta.
Yes. Oh my God,
Bret
Colin,
Hart is like Canadian #1.
There was a time that he was the most famous Canadian in the world in the 90s. And yes, that includes Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, the more
That's
you
how
know.
huge Bret Hart was in Canada.
Again,
I always
I
thought
didn't-
it's funny that him and the Canadians ran around with the British Bulldog.
That just shows how little of a shit I give about pro wrestling.
You should just know as a citizen of your great country.
That's right. And Joey, to answer your question, yes, it is funny, but in the old Stampede Wrestling in Calgary, that's where Bulldog got his start and trained with the Hearts.
And aren't they?
Yeah, I know he trained with them, but I just thought
And he married his sister.
there was that one point where they're all just coming out waving their Canadian flags, and then he just got the British Bulldog walking with them.
Yeah, he's cool. He's like, yeah, I like Canada too. It's part of the Commonwealth. Anyways, go on, somebody.
No, I'm listening to you get schoolgirl laugh about Canada.
Ah, come on.
This does that.
All right,
that
then
does that other
I'll
Super
just continue.
Nintendo thing, by the way, of the really creepily thumbnails of guys.
That really makes you uncomfortable with all these wrestling games.
It's more the Japanese games because they get like either super detailed or it's super pixely.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird, but no, the gameplay of this was fine. It's just, I guess it has that same problem where I'm just like, am I grappling them? Who knows? We'll find out. Like,
Well, you probably didn't know about the button mash
no,
mechanic.
it was obvious. I had that meter at the top to me, but it's just like, I'd like a dedicated grapple button of like, I know I am doing the grappling. Like, I know this is my turn. Like, that's why I'm really scared about Fire Pro to be like, I don't know if I'm gonna know if I'm winning.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was grappling or they're grappling me. And also in the Royal Rumble, it was either I threw him over or I threw him against the ropes. And sometimes when I threw him against the ropes, they would hit the ropes and fall over. So it was like 3 moves that had the exact same button, so it was confusing.
Yeah, I mean, it's very primitive, that's for sure. There's no doubt behind that at all. So, unfortunately, the point behind these exclusive wrestlers is there's only 12 wrestlers on the entire roster in a game marked as the Royal Rumble, which had that mode. That's, to me, the biggest downside. The roster's just too damn small. I do question how Crush made this superstar roster of all people.
Excuse me, Crush, the greatest part of Demolition.
You're thinking of someone else.
Was he the Repo Man?
You're thinking of Crash.
Oh, wait, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Okay, then fuck.
And yes, he was the Repo Man.
Repo Man!
He should have been this game instead of Crush.
Best wrestler.
So yeah, very, very primitive mechanics. However, I did find out there was a bunch of other things you could do. Essentially, the game encourages cheating. So your favorite with the manager, and you can actually bump the ref constantly, which is hilarious.
Everyone knows
if
refs
you bump
are made
it,
of glass.
Well, yeah, I even wrote that in my notes as a joke. Because we know wrestlers are made of glass. You can walk up to the ref and bump into him, and he starts getting dizzy. Or you can run at him and you just crash full-blown into him, and the ref is down forever. So that enables you to go get, you can then go get chairs and shit outside, even though I'm pretty sure there's no DQ in this game. Which is funny. If you're in tag matches and you throw your opponent into the corner, you can actually start choking him.
Okay.
And whatnot. Throw him into the ropes, you can choke him. You can eye poke in the game too. So there's a lot of those goofy things because there's a lot of bad guys on this roster, which is funny. Yeah, I had a blast playing this, despite its controls being very absent. this was by definition a fun, simplistic wrestling game. But you definitely see the LJN on it, with things just not connecting all the time, which is kind of weird. If this had a stronger, better roster, because as we've discovered, wrestling games with big rosters create a bunch of replayability value in itself. I think I would like this game more if it didn't have those exclusive wrestlers across the consoles, but whatever, I guess. I will say I had enough fun where I immediately bought this game. I paid $5 for it, so I think it's worth $5.
You gave
the usual price it goes for is about
WWF
$10.
money. How dare you?
I didn't give WWF my money. I gave the guy on eBay.
Who works for the W? I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, you don't know that.
Colin, did you at least have some moniker of fun with this?
Why is Yokozuna only like 180 pounds?
Wait, is that what he said? Is that what it says in the game?
No, I'm just looking at him, and because I played Genesis, and he's so tiny.
He's not in the Genesis version.
I'm sorry. I played Genesis, I meant to say, if I didn't. I'm watching Super Nintendo footage. He's like as big as the Undertaker width-wise.
Yeah, I remember that.
They didn't really do different sizes. They're just
my
like,
God.
hey.
Also, the guy playing this is winning every match by countout, and he's a little peen for that. So
He should have used my method. Kick to pin.
He was going to kick, but then... And also, apparently, you can win the belt via countout in this game. Everyone knows that's how it works.
That's how it works in Japan.
Well, it should, because if you knock somebody out so hard that they can't get back in, that's how it should work.
Yeah.
Does AEW do that? Random question.
That hasn't come up, actually.
Okay, then. Moving on.
I don't think they've ever established or not established that as a thing.
I'm going to tweet Cody right now.
So I did find a couple reviews on this. My favorite part: Nintendo Power issue 50 from July '93. So only a month after release, it gets more hype than Gunstar Heroes. This Nintendo Power issue has an 8-page issue all about this game. A huge advertisement hyping up the various modes, showcasing each wrestler in the game: Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, Yokozuna, Undertaker, Razor Ramon. Hell, this made me want to buy the game, this advertised so well. Immediately, with the wrestlers being on front and center, all those guys, I loved them. And the tagline was great. Here we go. Beyond the bounds of civilized behavior. Rock the ring with 16 megs of outlaw action. I died reading that. I laughed so hard.
Wow, a whole 16 megs.
16 megs, man. Outlaw action. Because when I think wrestling, I think of outlaw action, just like those outlaw mud shows. Am I right? Am I right, Kevin? Yeah. In the same issue, there was a short Star Fox comic. Totally read it. Yeah, it's quite good. Review score gave it 3.8 graphics, 3.8 control, 3.7 challenge, 3.9 fun factor. So 3.8 out of 5, aka 76 out of 100. Not a great score. Just barely under par mostly. And then the Game Pro issue 47 from June 93, so got it before Nintendo Power. This was written by Scary Larry.
Oh.
I love all these names in Game Pro.
Super rad.
Yeah. It's all about the wrestling puns here with whip the opposition. This WWF card is going to pin you to the mat and make you cry, uncle. So you know a wrestling fan didn't write this. Get your name into the record books as the Master of Disaster, the Sultan of Slam, the Prince of Pins. Again, you know a wrestling fan did not write this. Slam Bam graphics, crystal clear of photo sharp.
What?
And that is a quote. Yeah. Not like photo sharpness or anything. Crystal clear of photo sharp. Each sprite moves cleanly and executes the wrestling moves with the greatest of ease. Not really true. Even the audience looks real, which that part I died laughing. Did you guys even pay attention to the audience in this game?
Yes, I saw the same people over and over and over.
Yeah, they look totally real. Lots of twins in the audience.
Absolutely. It was Twin Day.
Now the Game Pro magazine gave it a 4.5 graphics score, a 4 for sound, 4 for control, 4.5 fun. Yes, that's a 4.25 out of 5, aka 85 out of 100. Gets an excellent score. Didn't see that coming.
Well, yeah.
So this was a blast to play. If the controls were better, I'd probably tier it higher. We'll get to the tiers later. But I'm passing Colin's pick for WWF Royal Rumble. I love the Royal Rumble mode. That was super fun.
With all 12 people.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate
Hey, I
part.
knocked out like 7 of those 12 people.
Whoa.
Right?
Dude,
you
you
should
just
get
got to
a
be
belt.
Yokozuna and just be bigger than
No,
I
you
was
dick kick
Undertaker.
everybody.
Yeah, dick kick with Undertaker. And then when there's only 3 people left, you just run around and make sure the other 2 fight each other, and then you throw them both out. It's easy.
The Ric Flair technique, yes.
But
Brilliant.
I fail this.
Ah.
This was not fun.
I gotta fail it too.
Ah.
Yeah. And
The only
4 for 4 for Colin.
there's
the only
a
real
there-
fun I had was when I found out Bret Hart was Canadian.
The only I'm gonna fail it because why not play Saturday Night Slam Masters? That's pretty much my only reasoning. Just like I don't want to play this. I can play something way cooler.
No.
Yeah. So.
I wanted to pick WWF Superstars on Game Boy, but JD said no.
Oh, JD squashed one of your picks. Whoa, crazy! That never happens. When's the next 3DO game we're playing, by the way? Because we all have one of those.
I mean, we played one
Oh,
in the
okay,
last
cool,
cast,
got
didn't
it. Sorry, Colin. I would like to hear your personal review of a better game. Yeah.
Now that I think about it, a lot of my like of WWF Superstars is just nostalgia.
God damn, Colin, I gave you a chance.
I mean, it's very simplistic, but I think part of what helped me buy into what was happening in that game is because the 8-bit graphics leave less room for the fakeness to shine through.
Right.
Felt a little more believable to me. Of course, then again, I was a kid too, so that helped.
So you
plus
Maybe I can get you into Fire Pro, Kevin Collin.
I
Both of you.
was going to say I'm planning on playing it tomorrow and trying it, so I'm going to give it a shot.
If more wrestling games were more like WWF in your house, then I might play them.
You need to play WrestleMania the arcade game, and I'd recommend the PS1 version.
Yeah, you would definitely enjoy that, I feel.
Because it was the better game, it was a prequel, but play the one that nobody talks about, the PS1 version. No, why? It's got the best. It's got the best audio and sound. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Super Nintendo version, the Genesis." I'm like, yo, there's a way better version nobody talks about. So do it. I helped.
I might check it.
All right, Kevin, your pick.
Yeah.
The last one.
Yes, Simp Wrestling Simulator 2002. Wow, what a game! I regret everything about this. Oh boy, yup. I definitely picked Rumble Roses, and the Dreamcast.
My bad. I didn't change that. It's PS2.
Yeah, no, I was like, no.
Yeah.
No wonder the Dreamcast failed. Anyway, it's developed by you.
Did you spend $8 on this game?
No, I got it for free and I paid too much. This is developed and published, developed by Ukes, published by Konami. If surprised you told me that, because I would have guessed it was made by Tecmo. It is an all waifu weird ass wrestling game. This game's fucking weird, dude. I don't like it. I played 10 minutes of it.
It's not that weird.
I had played 10 minutes of it and I felt so uncomfortable.
Did anybody read the instruction manual?
Did they what?
The instruction manual.
Read the instruction manual.
No.
Oh man, you have to. It's a true sight to behold. Here's the first paragraph of the introduction page. You ready for this?
Oh, I'm so excited.
This is amazing. Okay, so 5 words best describe the girls in action of Rumble Roses.
It's like a Playboy.
Get ready to get hot and sweaty without ever stepping into the ring. These ladies will have you breathing heavy and begging for mercy before the match even begins. With lethal moves and looks that can kill, the Rumble Roses beauties are waiting for you with lit fuses and talent to burn. Can you perform under the pressure, or will the mere power of their presence render you impotent?
This
End
game,
quote.
Impotent. Actually use that word.
like, here's the thing. I get what this game's going for, and I completely understand it, but I was just like, this is so fucking weird and uncomfortable, and I literally played one match and I was like, nope, I'm really good. Like,
Oh, you missed out on the best
no, I
parts this
didn't.
game has to
I
offer.
literally saw everything in the first 10 seconds.
No, you didn't.
I didn't even make it through
No,
a
you
match.
didn't.
And the thing is, I don't even think the gameplay is that good. And you said it runs off the Here Comes the Pain engine?
Yes, that is
Cool.
true.
So go play Here Comes the Pain, because, like, it's just weird. Like, this is clearly for some desperate weirdos. This game is fucking terrible. Every shot is...
The game claims itself to be to have the highest polygon count of any game
I wonder.
made.
Well, they're like, we gotta make sure all the boobs are there. Like,
Does it?
Yeah.
What was the polygon count?
yeah. What was
Anyway,
69?
it was
69.
some-
Nice. Okay. This game's fucking weird. Like, everyone's in a skirt. It's all like, oh man, if I only do this move like as seductively as possible. I'm like, this is fucking awful. Like,
Okay, claimed to have 10,000 polygons.
just in the boobs.
Yeah, the underboobs.
Yeah, and of course, I'm looking at the audience right now.
More of
And
a side boob guy myself.
I'm looking at the audience right now, and it all looks like neckbeard weirdos who are losing their shit over the basic of holds.
It-
Yeah,
it-
it's weird.
terrible.
Yeah,
My-
that was.
my-
Go
My
for
notes
it.
just say the worst. That's literally all my notes are.
As the ESPN sound goes off.
Yep.
Honestly, like everyone makes fun of like.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, just the worst.
Well, there are so many people who are like, oh my god, women's revolution or like women's wrestling has evolved so much. I'm like, I mean, come on. And then I'm looking at this, I'm like, yeah, it has actually, because and actually, me and Joey were talking before you guys got in here. Joey, what were you saying about the what was it, mud wrestling mode?
The mud match, the only match I
Yes.
tried, I'm like, let me see what is it. I think it was counterintuitive what they wanted, because the mud covered up all the underboob and everything, and it just became like a tan blob, and they didn't really have a figure. It was just, they were
So-
just mud at some point. I was like, what's the point of this?
So ironically, the mud wrestling variant actually is the most PG friendly version of this. Dude, this game is just fucking weird. Like, I'm sorry. Anyone that plays this, and if you tell me,
Excuse me.
no, but it's got a really good engine, and the technique, yeah, okay, I'm sure you just, read Playboy for the articles, too. So, fucking
It does have a good engine.
Yeah, I'm gonna fail it because just, there's so many other ways to get your rocks off that aren't this. And, no, it's just weird and desperate and creepy. All of this is weird.
Oh, come on.
No,
if you were 12 and going through puberty, this game would be all about
Crazy
you. Come
fact,
on.
I'm not, so, there.
I don't think I got one move off. Like, I couldn't
No.
do anything. But they could grapple me from halfway across the mud ring, and it was just like, it didn't make sense to me. And then they would grab my ankle, and you would just stand there while they just hold your ankle for a good 10 seconds before anything else happened. I was like,
Well,
what the fuck
They
is
have
this
to
game?
hold your ankle until you at least let out 7 moans, and then you can get up. Oh yeah, everything's moan. I'm like, this is fucking awful. Like,
I didn't hear much of that when I was watching it on YouTube.
well, it's because you're watching on YouTube. They got an algorithm to play to.
So you guys are really glossing over the most of the aspects this game has to offer.
the aspects.
So
Haha, funny.
I'll fill in the gaps for
Before
you
you
guys.
start,
Tell me
I want to
all
point
about
out,
their personality.
Yeah.
before you start, I want to point out 2 of these characters are Canadian.
Oh, good, great. I'm glad.
Yeah, the walking schoolgirl fetish and the walking teacher fetish.
Oh, good. That's literally the match I'm watching right now to remind myself how fucking weird this is.
So because this game was published by Konami, you could actually see multiple advertisements in the game,
Yes.
in the arenas, like Metal Gear Solid,
Yep, I saw
Castlevania.
I saw a Metal Gear
Yeah,
Solid
I remember
3,
that.
ad. The greatest part of the game, in fact.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I could go play a way better game.
Each of the characters have an unlockable persona, i.e. their face or heel side.
Yes.
A good idea to expand the roster, but of course they fucked it up by you can't have them both unlocked at once. So
What?
you're effectively locking out half your roster
Great.
at any point in time, yeah. There is an arcade mode of sorts for a story, which is, you're gonna love
A
this.
story! There's a story!
Yeah, there is a story mode.
Wow. What is it?
An evil person disguised as a nurse that wants to steal the wrestler's DNA to create a super robot fighter.
Okay. Yup.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, great.
that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So basically, I can describe this game as Here Comes the Pain, but it's dead or alive.
Simp ass wrestling game.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So the best mechanic in the game, Kevin, which you didn't get to, is the heart mode.
I'll live with myself somehow.
So there is a heart that gets filled up as you're wrestling, and if your opponent's heart meter is completely filled, the character starts to blush.
Oh.
They get embarrassed.
As you do in normal wrestling.
Yeah, so once they get super blushed and embarrassed, you can hit them with the humiliation finisher.
And that involves...
that involves a unique finisher to the person in which you put your opponent in a humiliating position to then make them submit or win the match.
Right. Yes.
So there's like a nice little spread eagle submission.
Of course there is. Why wouldn't there
be? Oh, yeah. Now, the biggest negative of the game, yes, I have to admit there is a negative to this game.
Oh, really?
Is there's just not enough modes. And, of course, half the roster's locked out. There's only the singles matches and the mud wrestling match. Big bummer.
Darn.
They could have done so much more with this. It's almost like it was a cash grab or something.
Crazy.
Well, with all those polygons, I don't think they could actually put more women in there, because then they would take away from the polygons. And then,
you know what? You would be distracted by too much tits and ass.
Yes.
You would be, yeah. You didn't. I'm sure you guys didn't find this, but you know, the what I sacrificed for this podcast to really give you the scoop on all these games. There is a gallery mode straight out of Dead or Alive.
Whoa, they put a picture mode in Rumble Roses? Crazy.
Oh, no. You can watch them.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah. They like stretch and hang out on the beach, and if you don't do anything, they actually start to automatically answer personal questions. Like, what's your favorite
really... Can you not get slower?
What's your favorite
Can you not
position?
stop talking slower as you describe more? It's really weird.
Can we just fail this game and move on?
Yeah, that's fucking...
No,
I don't...
You can't. We can't gloss over the voice acting and amazing dialogue, which is hilariously stereotypical to where each person represents.
I don't care.
The Southerner sounds like a hick. The geisha sounds like broken Japanese English.
Baby, yeah. Sorry, I'm singing a song that's called I Don't Care, because this game is for fucking weirdos.
So the GamePro issue did review this in issue 196 in January 2005. That was 2 months after it was released.
The pages were
the game
all
got
sticky
a
in that one,
3.5 in the graphics. I just can't agree with that score. It's just way too low.
Yeah, I know. If only they
The
had
sound
more
is 3, which, control 3.5. Yeah, they had a good engine to have good controls, and just wasn't all there. As Joey said, you can pretty much grab someone from across the mud pit. That's kind of unacceptable when you're really trying to just keep your DNA to yourself.
Oh, boy.
Can't let that evil nurse get it, yeah. The fun factor was 3.5. I'm sure some people would give that a much higher score.
6.9, nice.
It got, so that aggregates out to a 3.375 out of 5, aka 67 out of 100. Just not a good score. The review itself had some fun talking. It really, talking about breasts to polygon ratios, G-string comments, really stayed focused on just how shallow the game was, and despite of it not being terrible, so says the review. Quote was, failed to create anything but an average game with a penchant for G-strings and larger than usual cup sizes. So, yeah, if this game was deeper, I would have passed it, but it's not. It's a very shallow game with a good engine that just didn't capitalize on it. So yes, you can play the story mode in about 5 hours if you so choose to do that, or you can just stick to the gallery mode. really learn who these wrestlers are.
Yeah, I want to get to know their personalities real well.
Well, how else are you supposed to swoon them?
By literally doing anything else.
Okay.
Random note just popped up on my Twitter feed. You guys remember Death Battle?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Death Battle bot put up Asuka versus Jesus Christ, and I just want to get your opinion on that, JD, real quick.
What?
Well, wouldn't Jesus Christ win?
How dare you?
Who's the other character?
Asuka from WWE. It's a JD question. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Or Kana from Famous Josie.
Whatever you want to call it. Yeah, no, Rumble Roses sucks. It could just no. Like like even if this game was quote unquote good, it literally runs off a better wrestling games engine, and it's not as creepy. And if for some reason you feel the need to really get your creep on, doesn't like Here Comes the Pain have a bra and panties match?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's literally no reason to play this. Got it.
But you don't have the humiliation finishers.
I don't give a shit. The humiliation is you playing it.
I agree with that.
Oh, I bought Rumble Roses because it's a good wrestling game, says every fucking weirdo virgin ever.
No, it's unfortunately not a good game.
Yeah, it's not.
It's all about the tits and ass.
Yes, but there's
all
double
right, so
XS.
our games we played, as we finish up here, games we played for the podcast: All Japan Pro Wrestling 2, 3-4 Budokan on the Super Nintendo, Famicom. New Japan Pro Wrestling Token Road 2, The Next Generation on the Nintendo 64. Legends of Wrestling on the PS2. WWF Royal Rumble on the SNES and Genesis. And, of course, Rumble Roses on the PS2. Alright, guys. I'll go first today.
Great. So the worst game was Rumble Roses. I'm just getting it out there now.
My favorite game that I had the most fun with was WWF Royal Rumble, but I think New Japan Token Road 2 was the best game. So I'm going with that one. And the worst game was Rumble Roses on the PS2.
I actually thought you weren't going to say that.
No, it was the worst game. It's just too egregious when it's made in a good wrestling engine and they still didn't make it all that deep or good in control-wise. It's quite an astounding feat when you think about it.
It's almost more impressive how bad it is.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I did like those women.
No, did you really?
They're quite attractive.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I learned a lot about the hot Canadian nurse.
Oh, well, she's Canadian.
She had a lot.
Told.
Look, she had a lot to say.
Oh, did she?
Anyway, Legends of Wrestling was my pick for best, and Rumble Roses was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, give me your tears while you're at it, please.
Oh, okay.
You want tears?
I thought you meant crying for a second. It's like, give me your simp tears. You didn't like Rumble Roses. Ew.
I'm gonna do a Budokan F. I'm gonna do Rumble Roses F. I'm gonna do Royal Rumble a D.
Oh my god!
The Next Generation. Cinematic stuff was fine. I hated the wrestling part of it, so D. And Legends of Wrestling is gonna be barely a C. So.
Okay.
Wow.
Joey with the harsh tier scores. I forgot to give mine.
Yeah.
Budokan, I will give because it's so primitive and they were trying, but unfortunately the camera was very atrocious. That's unacceptable, so that's a D. Token Road 2, I'll give a nice solid B. If the gameplay was deeper, it probably would have gotten a higher score. Legends of Wrestling, I agree, it's a C. WWF Royal Rumble, I will also give a C. Again, if the controls were deeper, would be higher. Rumble Roses gets a D.
Yes.
D? How'd you give that a D? You want to give it your D? No, it's an F.
F means, hold up. To me,
Joey, because of that A tier comment, you got me. I will make it an F.
Hold on. F is like unplayable, is it not? Like you cannot play it. Like it literally doesn't work. And the answer is yes, because then you'd have to explain yourself to people.
All right, Colin, you failed every game on this podcast.
Yeah.
What I gotta know your tier scores and what was your most hated. I wouldn't even ask you for which one you liked because you didn't like any one of them.
Well, all of them get D tier.
Wow.
And for my least favorite, it's really hard to say. I'm just gonna say NJPW Toukon Road. Because
you didn't like that one the most?
It bored me the most.
You know Rumble Roses exists, right?
And I'm... Actually, yes. Because that at least gave me something to look at and laugh at.
Yeah.
Well, that's very true.
It's got me there.
I don't care what you
right,
call
Kevin.
me.
You're up, man.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Great. All right. So I'm going to give AJPW, I can't remember, All Japan. That's a D. Don't really care about.
Wait, All Japan?
Yeah, AJPW,
Okay.
right?
You gave that a D?
Yeah, D. It's just boring, not that great a camera. The N64 game, what was it? NJPW, yes. It was better than the other one. Like, I'd give it a C just because, like, it seems a little deeper and also funny ref lol. I'd give that a C.
Very true.
Legends of Wrestling is my favorite. It's like between a C and a B because maybe it's just like comparison bias. I don't know. But like, I know the names. I can have some fun with it. So maybe like C. Also, RVD is
fair.
a good way to get me to do anything. Royal Rumble, I'll give it like a C. Like it's okay. I could play Saturday Night Slam Masters, and I'm gonna give Rumble Roses a double D. You know, no. How did nobody make that joke? Anyway, it's just
Well, Joey made the A tier
too
joke of I
obvious.
wanted to give it my D.
I'm gonna give it a D cup rating. It's just
Go that extra mile. Give it the F cup rating.
oh, God no, they're too floppy. It's just like literally. Rumble Roses is the worst because like I didn't want to play it. Like I don't want to.
You picked it.
I know I did, and I regret things. And what makes it worse is that this is a wrestling cast, something I like, and we picked like the worst games. We need to do a wrestling cast too, where we play Here Comes the Pain or something, or not these.
I mean, we literally talked about No Mercy and Revenge.
Talked
and all.
about them. Why can't we? I need to wash this out my face.
I do believe when we were picking, JD was strongly suggesting picking games that we didn't normally play and
That's right.
games we didn't really know about. So that took away all the good games that we did play, and we were left with this.
God damn it! Look what you've done. It's a fucking dictator on this cast.
And I was torn between Legends and Simpsons, and I went Legends to go more theme of wrestling with wrestling instead of.
We
another
would have
game.
been better off playing WWE Crush Hour.
Well, that's not a wrestling
Yeah,
game.
well, neither was Rumble Roses. It was softcore.
Yeah, it
was
is.
softcore pornography.
No, come on.
No. It's fucking terrible.
All right, so our next cast is so we're switching up between Colin and Joey's pick, just so because Joey insisted on a great topic for episode 69.
Nice.
Nice.
So Colin's got the next theme pick. It's Run and Gun. Then we're going Joey's 69 pick,
Nice.
and then Kevin, it's your pick after
Yeah,
that. So we got some good ones here.
I got a weird theme that I don't know how to describe.
Cool. You can tell us after the cast. And we can get
I'll
ahead
make it quick because I'm hungry.
in these trying times. But yes, this was episode 67, the wrestling video game cast. I hope everyone enjoyed. We'll see you next
I
time.
hate everybody.
Bye now.
Bye.